If I had shoulders like Chris Bumstead, I'd be in a tank 24/7. I mean, after all, I'm in a tank 24/7 and I don't even have shoulders like Chris. Coach Greg, and in today's video, we're going to be going over advanced training tips to help you build the biggest delts possible. And in doing so, we're going to be following along with Chris Bumstead's delt shoulder training routine, learning what to do, what not to do, mistakes, things to avoid, and so on.
I saw Ian doing this machine in Canada like a day or two ago, and he was doing like 6 plates, and I feel like I did 4.5 last week, maybe. So maybe I'll try 5 this week if my shoulder's not hurting.
One of the things I notice of the best bodybuilders in the world is they often train with t-shirts on. If I had shoulders like Chris Bumstead, I'd be in a tank 24/7. I mean, after all, I'm in a tank 24/7 and I don't even have shoulders like Chris. And so like most bodybuilders, Chris is pyramiding up in weight. He starts with 1 plate aside, goes up to 2, 3 plates, 4, before doing his heaviest set of 5 plates per side. You can see some of his reps are full range of motion, some are partial range, but as you can see, these are baby weights for Chris Bumstead. It's an absolute joke, but he doesn't want to further get injured. Start light, take your time warming up. Remember, the shoulders are delicate, especially for Chris. He's had shoulder injuries in the past. He's properly warming up before going for his heaviest set. 5 plates aside, and notice he still gets 9.5 reps. He's not ego lifting, trying to throw up as many weights as he could. I'm sure he could lift 6 plates aside. He chooses not to. He's going with the weight he can handle with proper form and keeping in that 8 to 12 rep range.
But we're starting here with the shoulder press machine, partly to warm up my shoulders, partly because it was a cluster there in front of the dumbbells, and I hate busy gyms and I didn't want to get into that bullshit.
And notice Chris himself, Mr. Olympia, he doesn't need to have a set routine. If he walks into the gym and sees that the weights are used over there, he uses a different machine. So many people complain and say, oh, I need that piece of equipment. Someone's on it, I can't train. Chris is the Mr. Olympia and makes do with whatever's available. He's saying there's a cluster cookbook over there. I can't get that equipment. I'm going to wait till it eases off, till it dies down a little bit. I'll train over here. I'll do that later. And so if you have a training routine and a machine is used, occupied, give it a rest. Do it later. Switch it up. It's okay. And notice, he trains to failure. How do I know that? Because he didn't get 10. He did 9, wasn't done there, tried for 10, couldn't get it. If you don't go for your last rep, you don't know how hard you actually went. If you stopped at 9, you don't know. Could you have done 1 more, 2 more, 3 more, 5 more? Most people don't train hard enough. The majority of people in the gym, they're leaving many more reps in the tank than they should. Research shows that most trainers should be training within at least 3 reps of failure. Problem is, people don't know what that feels like. If you stop 3 reps from failure, how do you know you actually had 3 reps left? You might have had 7.
You say Ian did 6?
Yeah, Ian did 6 plates for like more reps, so.
Cook!
Me.
You get 6.
6? I didn't even get 10 there, I got 9.
And you can see no matter how many titles you've won, 3-time Mr. Olympia, he's still competitive. His coach, Ian Valaire, he's doing 6 plates aside. Chris, he's doing 5. He's like, cookbook me, I can't lift as much as Ian. And so if it matters to even the top bodybuilders in the world, obviously people who are competing at every level, they're going to feel the same way. And I caution you, leave your ego at the door. I know it's tempting, you want to beat out your partner, lift more than them, but listen, we're trying to build the biggest shoulders possible. We're not trying to show off and lift more than each other. It's fun to be the strongest guy lifting the heaviest dumbbells in the gym, but all it takes is that 1 bad rep where it gets out of groove, and before you know it, you've torn your shoulder. And if you notice his range of motion, his hands are getting to approximately ear level. When you're doing shoulder presses, you don't have to go all the way down. And so my advice, go to a range of motion that's comfortable for you. If you go up to the ears and press overhead, back to the ears, that for most people is far enough. However, if you feel you can keep going lower until the dumbbells hit your shoulders, then do it. So long as you're not being injured. Personally, when I'm using machines, I put the seat to its highest level so that I start the bar really low. I like going through a proper full range of motion. But if that hurts, if that feels awkward for you, then don't do it. As long as you're training hard, using progressive overload, training to failure, you're gonna get the gains in the gym. And his next set, training to failure, that's not enough. I'm going to train to failure, then drop the weight down, and then go to failure again. This is an advanced training technique. Once you can't complete any more reps, drop the weight quickly and do as many as you can once again. That will allow your muscles to be maximally stimulated while going through the proper time under tension.
Oh, this is safe.
And have you ever been to a gym before? You sit on the bench, it just doesn't feel stable? My advice, try a different bench. This is very dangerous. When the bench is wobbling side to side, or perhaps you have a barbell and it's not attached properly, it's wobbling, shaking, you never know what can happen. And so if you see or experience equipment that's dangerous, notify the staff immediately. Get them to put that sign saying, out of order, don't use the equipment, move on to the next one. It just isn't worth the risk of injury.
I rest on the shoulders, jumping over some dumbbell shoulder press right now. Pretty gassed from pushing that heavy on the machine. And then we come over here and do a little lighter weight, maybe 100 to 110.
And so obviously Chris is getting pretty gassed at this point. I mean, after all, you can only handle the 110s for 10 plus reps. You know, pathetic loser kind of weight, right? But what I want you to take home from this is that even Chris doesn't feel strong. He's thinking, it's only the 110s. I probably handled the 130s if I was fresh. Leave your ego at the door. Depending on which exercise you did first, expect to be stronger or weaker than last time. Whatever exercise you do first when you're fresh, you're clearly going to be stronger than when you're fatigued. If I train the pec deck, dumbbell flies, machines, and so on, and do the bench press last, I'm clearly not going to bench as much as if I bench first. And so if you notice Chris's range of motion, some of the reps not quite getting to the ears, I would prefer to see a little bit more range of motion, but remember, he's training with an injured shoulder. He's doing what he needs to do to get through the workout. Oftentimes you're going to be injured, but if you just never train and give up every single time you're injured, you might never be in the gym. Some people are always injured. I have 2 torn labrums in both shoulders, torn labrums in my hips. But am I going to give up? Am I never going to train shoulders? Am I never going to train legs? Of course not. You train around the injury. And so if it hurts to go to here, but not to here, then go halfway down. It's still going to give you the resistance you need. You're still going to be able to make the gains.
But last week I got this for like 11. I just got it for 14, so it's a beautiful day to be alive.
Chris just went from 11 reps to 14. Perhaps he could have gone to 12, the next week gone to 13, the next week 14, 15, and so on. If you gain a ton, 3 reps in one day, all at once, the next week, chances are you're going to be weaker. Nothing wrong with pushing to failure every single time, but expect to not be able to continuously make gains. You're not going to go up a rep every single time in the gym. If you're training your shoulders once or twice a week, that would mean you'd put on 50 to 100 reps on your shoulders in a year. No one can do that. No matter what program, PDs, bulk and diet you're on, you're not going up 100 reps on your shoulders in a year.
When weights start to feel like easy to hold, and that's when you're strong. When it's like you can hold it and just lock it in there, drop it down, everything just feels like you're just like stable.
And what Chris is describing here is exactly how I felt when I was taking PDs. Once you take PDs, you gain a certain amount of strength, of stability, you just feel strong. In comparison, in the off season, when you're natural, trying to train, you don't have the same power, the same level of confidence. And so obviously we know Chris isn't 100% natural. And so if you are in fact natural, don't expect to feel that strength, that stability, that power. You can of course make gains naturally, but you're not going to feel the same level of oomph as someone who's taken PEDs. And notice Chris, 250 pounds of muscle, he's grabbing the 40s for side laterals. Of course he could handle more weight, 50, 60 pounds, he could swing them, but he's using a proper and strict technique and not lifting with his ego. And once he gets fatigued, he starts to do partial reps. He doesn't give up. It's a lot easier at the bottom of the list and the top. And so when you're doing side laterals, the first several reps, perhaps 10, you can go all the way to parallel to the floor. After that, perhaps you're not quite going to parallel. You're going 3/4 the way up. Doesn't mean you have to stop. Just because you can't get a full range of motion doesn't mean you're not still stimulating the shoulders. What I like to do the first 10 reps or so, do very, very strict. After that, I add a little bit of swing, a little bit of cheat. It's not your girlfriend. It's okay to cheat. And so once you get to failure, if you're an advanced lifter, keep going doing partial reps. For an advanced training technique, if you don't want to cheat on your side laterals, please do a drop set. Rather than going past failure and doing partial reps with the 40s, you can get 10 reps with the 40s, drop the weight, grab the 30s, and continue for perhaps another 5 to 10 reps. That allows you to push past failure, get the time under tension that you need.
Skinny bitch.
And so Chris is now well warmed up and the t-shirt comes off, revealing the delts that are bigger than friggin' last time. He says skinny bitch. And honestly, frankly, I don't know if he actually feels small. Perhaps he does. Perhaps he's just joking. Obviously, he doesn't look skinny. He's more jacked than 99.9% of the population. But in his mind, being the 3-time reigning Mr. Olympia champion, does he feel small? Perhaps he remembers himself at his peak, at his most massive and most shredded. And in comparison, he feels a little skinny. And I have him pause here halfway through a side lateral. All I see is a garden hose vein going through his bicep, a split in the bicep, a split in his chest, shoulder, striations everywhere, and he's saying a skinny little bitch. And so I'm thinking, does he actually feel this way? Perhaps he has body dysmorphia. I don't know. But what I do know is no matter how big you get, you still want to get bigger. There's still someone bigger than you out there. He probably still isn't satisfied, wants bigger delts, more size to be stronger. And so I caution you, if you go to the gym, realize you will never be satisfied. The chase for gains, it doesn't ever stop. And you can't make gains forever, even with PEDs. Even if you were to go on PEDs, you're not going to be able to make gains forever. And what goes up must come down. No matter how big you get, no matter how many cycles you've done, you can't do them forever. So my advice, stay natural, be happy with the gains that you're making, and try not to think you need to be perfect.
Honestly, sometimes wearing a tank top actually helps my form because my shoulder's so tight and lopsided. When I wear a tank top, I'm like doing this and I can actually adjust myself.
And so that's a great point. Chris is saying in wearing a tank top and looking in the mirror, he can actually adjust himself. Perhaps one shoulder is stronger than the other. I crashed my bike, I have a separated shoulder, and I'm trying to train evenly. If I don't see myself in the mirror, I oftentimes will have my left shoulder higher than my right. And so don't shy away from the mirror. The mirrors are there for a reason. Don't think you're being weird or that you're somehow a narcissist because you want to see yourself in the mirror. Not only does the mirror motivate you, it also allows you to check out your technique. Are you doing it right, wrong? Are you going too low? Are you not going low enough? Are you using proper range of motion? You can get immediate feedback by looking in the mirror, make adjustments, and so highly recommend you train with the mirror. I'm just realizing the thumbnail says, don't be a skinny bitch. And so I know it's a joke and it's funny and so on, but please, if you're watching this and you're not as big as Chris, which is every friggin' one of you right now, except for you three, all of you are smaller than Chris, and so don't think Chris is somehow a skinny bitch. He's huge.
Moving on to another type of lateral raise here. Obviously with the cables, it gets you full range of motion.
Up next, cable side laterals, and the benefit of this is that there's a lot of tension at the bottom. When you're doing side laterals with dumbbells, it's really easy at the bottom, hard at the top. With cables, it's constant tension throughout. The same amount of force is generated at the bottom as it is halfway, as it is at the top. And so in using the cable, you can use a lighter weight, have constant tension throughout.
So I'm trying to do this really lightweight, perfect form, like elbows completely locked out.
Chris says he likes to do this with his elbow locked out at full extension. I would caution you that perhaps this works for Chris, but for most people, you should create a small bend in the elbow joint. Doing an exercise with your joint completely extended, it's not the safest or healthiest thing for your joint. And so please, slight bend of the elbow. And again, advanced training technique here. Chris is going beyond failure. When he can no longer get the full range of motion, he does partial reps. He's going beyond failure, doing an increased time under tension with partial reps. And so if you're an advanced lifter, please train harder than last time by going past failure. And so for the rear delts, he's doing reverse pec deck. He starts out with full range of motion. As he fatigues, yet again, he's doing the partial reps. You can see a pattern here. When Chris reaches failure, he doesn't give up. He does partial reps. He goes 3/4 of the way for a bit, then halfway, then 1/4 of the way. He's working harder than last time by increasing the time under tension of the muscle by doing partial reps. And so just because you can't get another rep doesn't necessarily mean the set is over.
Much of you hear like good advice, which is normally good. There's always exceptions, and knowing that you need to read your body of what's proper.
And so Chris then says, I'm giving you advice on how to train, but really train the way you want. As long as you're not doing things that are dangerous, perhaps you like lifting really heavy, perhaps your form is not perfect, then go for it. And to that I say, yeah, to a point, as long as you're not being dangerous or risking injury, then go for it. But realize that with sloppier form comes more risk of injury. With heavier weights, greater chance of injury. But I've done it. Gone for 1 rep maxes, competed in powerlifting. But listen, it is dangerous. You are eventually going to get hurt. It's not will you get hurt, it's when. And so if you're ego lifting and not using proper form, expect at some point to get injured.
Myself, I'm going to tell most people you should not be doing legs twice in a week because you can't handle it. 99% of the world cannot handle it.
Here's my advice. If you can't train legs twice a week, you're training your legs too hard. That or you're doing too much volume. And so either back up on the volume or don't train it as intensely. You should be able to train your legs twice a week. I'm literally training my legs 2 to 3 times a week in the gym with weights and racing bikes. If I can train my legs 2 to 3 times a week and race bikes, don't you think the average person can train legs twice? And if you say, no, I can't, it's too hard, then train easier. If you're training so hard that you're not recovered, always sore, then you're training too hard.
When I was young too, I was training like an asshole, deadlifting, squatting, and lunging every other day pretty much. So you might as well have fun with it, and then you'll be old man like me one day. Father to millions.
I love these guys. They think they're old men at 27. Wait till Chris is 47. I'm 46. I don't even feel that old. Is he really feeling old at 27? And does he actually feel like a skinny bitch? Is this just going over my head? Am I too old to understand these jokes? Chris is not a skinny bitch. He's a freaking freak. He's got so much muscle. And so hopefully you'll learn something out here that help you with your shoulder training. Good luck in reaching your goals. Ending it here. GregDoucette.com for coaching. Greg Doucette IV Pro. Check out the Bloops, top and bottom. Do them both. Also, harder than last time supplements. The Turkesterone. You know you want that. Also, creatine, protein powder, pre-workout prom, pre-workout stims, 2.0, 1.0. We got so much friggin' stuff. You got to click the link in the description. Also, become a part of the nearly 200,000 newsletter subscribers. We're giving away a free training plan, a free nutrition plan for freaking free. Just for joining the newsletter list. It's almost done. Please join the newsletter list to be part of the nearly 200,000 people. And so why not join it? It's free. We're giving away free stuff. Please become a newsletter subscriber. Subscribe and click the bell button. Comment for the algorithm. Don't forget, I got a freaking cookbook. You could buy that. Training books, coaching plans by me and a team. And until next time, I am out.